Good day, learners. I hope you are doing well today, and I hope that you are settled for today's lesson. Welcome to Natural Sciences. Today we are going to investigate 5 household substances that we use every day at home. Okay? We have lemon, the real lemon. We are going to cut it and squeeze the juice. And then we have vinegar, we have milk, we have water, we have soap. Okay? So we are going to find out whether these substances are acid, bases, or neutral substances. To do that, we are going to use the pH scale. We are going to use the pH scale and the universal indicator. Okay? What is a pH scale? A pH scale is a number between 0 to 14. It shows us how acidic or basic a substance is. Okay? So, a pH less than 7, for instance, a pH at less than 7, it shows us that a substance is a what? Is a strong base, is an acid, I mean to say. It's an acid, and a pH at exactly 7 is a neutral substance. And then a pH at above 7 is a base. Okay? So now I have told you about this, and also we are going to use the universal indicator. The universal indicator is a liquid substance that we use to test the substance to check their pH, to check their pH, right? All right. We use it to check the pH of the substances, and then it changes color when we add them in the substance. So that's when we find out whether a substance is an acid, a base, or a neutral. Okay? So now I am thinking, before we could observe the results, because everything I have prepared, everything is already prepared here on the table. So now I am thinking, now I add the universal indicator in a vinegar. Okay? I assume that vinegar will turn orange. Why? Because vinegar is sour, and I can conclude that vinegar is what? It's an acid, for my assumption. Okay? Now, as I have just prepared, so now I want us to observe the real results. Everything is already prepared here on the table. I do not have the real universal indicator at home, so I have used the colored substances, like the colorant, to show the real results from the laboratory. Okay, the universal indicator, when it's added in a substance, it changes color. So before we could discuss the results, I want you to observe the color chart of the universal indicator. As red shows that when we put the universal indicator in the substance and it turns red, it tells us that particular substance is what? Is an acid. And when it turns orange, it's a weak acid. And when it turns yellow to greenish, it's a very weak acid. And then when a substance turns green, it tells us that particular substance is a neutral substance. And then when a substance turns blue, it tells us that particular substance is what? It's a base. And then when it turns purple, it tells us that particular substance is a very strong base. Okay? Now, I want us to observe these results. Here we have the already results as I have explained. And this one also is not the real indicator, it's just a demo for this particular experiment. Now, let us observe the results. Let us observe the first glass here that shows the lemon juice, okay? As you can see in the results, lemon juice, when we put the universal indicator, it turned orange, which means it's what? It's an acid, it's a weak acid. Even vinegar turned orange, which means it's what? It's an acid. And then milk turned greenish to yellowish. And then now when I'm thinking milk is not sour and milk is not slippery, so which means milk, it ranges in a pH 6. It turns, its color tends to be like this. It ranges here, so it tells me that the milk is also a very weak acid, because even though it is very weak acid, it is less than 7, which means it's also what? A weak acid. Okay, so now I want us to observe the water now. Water, when I observe water, water remained green when I added the universal indicator. Okay, which means water is a neutral substance and its pH scale is 7. And then when I observe the glass that contains the liquid, and when I added the universal indicator, it turned blue, meaning that liquid soap is called what? Is a basic substance. All right, that is for today's lesson, learners. So now I want you to put in mind that this science happens everywhere and every day in our life, and especially we observe science everywhere we go. So I want you to take note of this and make sure that you enjoy science everywhere you go. So that's it for today's lesson. See you on the next lesson. Bye.